I already knew that this case would be a hard nut to crack. Not a hazelnut. You can do that in your fist, not one of those pistachios that you pick apart with your hands. Definitely not a peanut, which, as I understand it, isn't even a nut. It's not even really a pea, it's more like a bean, something. More like a walnut, hard shell. Takes a nutcracker, or someone who's practiced cracking nuts in his hands for some reason and needs to show it off at parties how he can crack a walnut. I don't get those people. They're they're weird. Maybe more like a coconut. Yeah, this case was like a coconut. Hard to crack. Big, brown, hairy, full of milk. But I digress. Fictional universes. We all know them. We've all come across them. Usually they're called something like cinematic universe because it sounds more cinematic. And because people tend to focus a lot on the movies. Because people are idiots. People are uncultured swine who only understand what you shove in their eye holes. No, a fictional universe. Much more than just a movie and some merchandise. A wide universe of stories across different media that all somehow connect to form a greater whole. That was the case. That was the heart of the case. How? There was a question. If the fictional universes were the heart, then the how was, I guess, the lungs or something. I don't know. But how was important. How do these fictional universes get made? What goes wrong? What does it take? And perhaps most importantly, does it really take a huge corporation with billions of dollars at their disposal? Or can anyone create a fictional universe with the tools that we all have at our fingertips these days? Phones, computers, hammers. Well, I guess we had hammers for a long time, and I don't really think I don't think a hammer is useful in creating a fictional universe, but pencils maybe. All these things, the internet, apps, can they give the common creative plebe an advantage that nullifies what corporations do and have? I mean, it's not like corporations have a perfect score in this matter. Dark Universe went nowhere. Lots of others have tried and failed to turn various little successful movies into something grander. Hell, even Disney is falling apart in this matter at the time. Star Wars is cracking underneath the weight of bad decisions. Marvel is starting to fizzle out. Things don't look good. And what the hell is even happening to the DCEU? Stupid name anyway, DCEU. Stick to 3 letters: FBI, CIA, TBA. You know, 3 letters. Something people know: MCU. All of these things just collapsing underneath the weight of their own expectations, torn apart by bad decision making and a bad understanding of what they're really dealing with. Fictional universes. There was only one way for me to crack this nut, and it was not by listening to others, it was by doing by myself. It was by creating one of these fictional universes, seeing how far I could push the envelope inside the coconut of faltering expectations. Okay, the metaphor is pretty strained at this point, but you understand. Whoever I'm talking to, I don't know who I'm talking to, but I'm sure you understand. It was up to me to use the knowledge that I've gained from studying these fictional universes to answer the question: could I, a humble detective, create one out of nothing? Of course, to even begin to do so, I would have to know what I was dealing with. What is a fictional universe, except for just another word for cinematic universe? It's a story. It's a story told in many ways, from many angles, in many parts, and perhaps most importantly, in many different mediums. Anyway, what kind of medium or media or media whatever would need to contribute to a fictional universe? We have movies, but movies always outshine anything because it's the opium of the masses. Easy to get into, requires no commitment, just eyes on the screen for an hour and a half or 2 hours or 3 hours if you're one of these newfangled directors. But what's other than movies? Books. Where would Harry Potter have ever been if it hadn't been for the books? We saw what happened to the movies that came after they had made the books into movies. It didn't go down well. Kind of crashed down more, you might say. So books belong in a fictional universe. But what else? Video games. You can't get around them these days. These modern, complicated electronic games with all their snazzy graphics and all their independent will of the player to run around and do anything that they can't do in the books or the movies. Each medium has its own advantages and disadvantages. Movies, easy to watch. You get a lot of visual detail, you get a lot of impression of the world, of the events. You see a lot of things that you would not usually notice in, say, a book, because a book has to draw attention to things directly. But it all has to be visual or auditory. It all has to be lights and sounds. Books allow you to dive into the minds of characters, into things that aren't experienced directly. Philosophies, thoughts, pasts, presents, futures, a broad idea of anything you're dealing with at any time. Hell, you could run into a footnote in the middle of a story, a parenthesis, or parentheses, I guess, in which you get a part of the world explained that you'd never get in a movie. Detail, insight, and of course the games. They allow you to do whatever you want. They allow you freedom. But they often have problems telling a more complex story because you always have to accept the idea that someone playing it might be an idiot. You do that in books and movies too, but an idiot watching a movie is not going to derail the movie. They're just not going to understand it. And an idiot reading a book, well, do they even, or do they just give up? I don't know. I've never seen an idiot reading a book. But an idiot playing a game? Oh yes. I've seen that. I've seen the horrors. And it always ends in tears and blood and spilled milk for some reason. I don't know why. But those are the three major ones. And you have something like comics, the drawn version of a book, weirdly spaced between book and movie, like a storyboard almost. And you can get all the visual details you want, depending on how much you want to draw, just like you can in the movies. But you have more possibility to linger, like you do in the books. Text and image combined into something like some 3D hybrid, some bastardized mule. Or is it a mule? What is it? Horse and donkey, that's a mule, right? Yeah, pretty sure that's a mule. Anyway, comics halfway between one and the other. And then you have role-playing games. Like games, they provide freedom, but they are text, they are improvisation, they are thought, they are mental challenges, social things. So many ways they can go wrong. There are many others. There's merchandise, there's poster style images, but yeah, perhaps these are the ones that I should focus on for now. So how to do it? How to create what usually takes a corporation? Well, I'm not going to rival Disney. Not this round anyway. It would be ludicrous to believe that. This is an experiment. This is a look into the darkness. Not a leap. Not a leap from the tower. What I will create is a mockery. A mockery fictional universe is a crude, rough, primitive version of the real thing. And why? Because, damn it, I need a recipe for the real thing. I need to know how this thing ticks, what goes on inside it, so I can copy and mold every part of it. And to that end, I need to create a master recipe. The recipe that I use for the entire process to create lesser recipes for each and every part of a fictional universe. And what is that master recipe? I start with one of the humble things. I start with the role-playing game. I start with the one thing that requires you to describe the beast in as much detail as possible. We talk about Bibles or guides or manuals for movies and for TV series. For comics, they have style guides. What's in these? Descriptions. Descriptions of the world. Description of the kind of stories that can take place there. Style guides for comics even have crude drawings of characters from different angles. Easy to copy, easy to insert, easy to mimic. Tools designed to make creation easier. Recipes. A recipe for creating recipes. And where I start will be that master recipe. And it will be in the role-playing game meant for this fictional universe. And from that, others will spring.